Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast. I'm 10 Types, as always, joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Glad to be here and looking forward to talking about new cards today.
Yeah, as you said, we're talking about some new cards. These are cards that are in the expansion, the 30th Celebration set, which is a little, I don't know, I find the name a little weird. I mean, I suppose it is very on the nose, which is good. Normally, I don't know, I guess I'm used to it ending in S with like celebrations, evolutions, generations. But yeah, it's a cool set, obviously celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Pokemon TCG here, and I'm pretty sure it's the TCG. I don't think it's the Pokemon franchise. And so we have this set. It's releasing in Japan and internationally at like the same time and stuff. It's the same product essentially. But say we're taking a look at some new cards specifically. We're going to be spending, I will say, a bunch of time on the new Mew EX. This isn't a brand new reveal. There are a few very new reveals. Or pretty new reveals at the time of recording this. The Mew EX though is the most interesting card, and we've both taken some time to think about this card, how good it's going to be, and also how it's going to be played. But we first have some other cards to talk about, which are mostly Pikachu's. But there's a lot of Pikachu's in this set.
Well, in evolutions, right? Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of evolutions too. I think we're not going to spend much. Yeah, we're not. There's a lot of Pikachu's, which won't get a lot of airtime probably. But this the newer set of cards kicks off with two Pikachu's. I will say, I think that the naming 30th Celebration is a little weird. Because the other one was Celebrations, which was a really good name. It seems like it's just kind of weird. But anyway, I guess this is the official name, so whatever. It doesn't affect the cards. So we have a couple Pikachu's, which Pikachu EXs, which are both they're interesting cards, is what I'll say. I think there's a bunch of cards that are interesting. Most of them are probably questionable whether they're good. They both have 190 HP. They both have a retreat cost of one, and they come in special arts because there's gonna be a lot of special arts with this. And I'll just kind of read them both. The one for colorless energy does Pika Pika Parade. Search your deck for as many basic energies you like and put them on. I mean, as many basic Pokemon as you like and put them onto your bench, shuffle your deck. So that's nice. You go second, set up your full bench. It does have a Lightning Colors does 200. Discard all energy attached to this Pokemon. That's pretty underwhelming there, especially for 90 HP Pokemon. And the other Pikachu EX, they're both Lightning. Again, 190. For one Lightning this time, not one colorless. You Shocking Fever. You may attach as many basic energy cards to your hand to your Pokemon any way you like. So that's very good. You have to get them in hand, but massive energy acceleration potentially. So I think that's kind of interesting. And then another Thunderbolt again for Lightning Colors does 200. And this one, instead of discarding the energies, you do 30 damage to yourself when your HP is low. So I don't know between those which is better or worse between those, but I think it's the first attacks which are interesting. One, you set up your bench. One, you get a massive amount of energy accelerated. Is the ideas behind those cards?
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. We've seen attacks like this in the past, like there was a Celebi V. I know that one was like this. I think there was another card as well that was like kind of the same, a psychic one. It might have been. Maybe I'm thinking about Valkyrie VMAX, but Celebi V here says attach any number of grass energy from your hand to your Pokemon any way you like. Yes, this is any type of basic energy, so theoretically that is a little better, but I don't know. I mean, as you said, you have to get them into your hand. That's kind of hard to do. And then also regarding this, again, we've seen like attacks like this in the past, and we've seen stuff like TM Turbo Energize be like kind of good. I think TM Turbo Energize is better. Obviously, we don't have that in standard. We do have Mega Auto EX, which I'd say is honestly pretty decent. So I think the Pikachu EX is the one that accelerates is not super strong. And the 200 for three is kind of whatever, not super good there either. You'll take it, but it could be a lot better. And then the other Pikachu EX with like the bench setup attack. I mean, we have lots of attacks that set up your bench, and they are pretty mediocre. I will say you have like Precious Trolley as well. I'm not a Precious Trolley fan. If you know me, not that I think it's super bad. I just when I play it, it's super bad. And it's not just me. It's not just me being bad. It like legitimately either it's like prized or I have what I need. But anyways, like attacks like the or like wait yeah attacks that are call for family style attacks, getting basic Pokemon to your bench, they're okay, but you can do similar things with items pretty consistently or even supporters.
Yeah, I mean, look, to talk about, I mean, first off, the one that you accelerate bench Pokemon, we don't have Nest Ball, we don't have Quick Ball, so we have more
Wait, sorry, what?
limited basic. We don't have Nest Ball in format, right?
No, no, we have Nest Ball.
Okay, so we get wait Nest Ball that puts a basic onto the
Wait, no,
bench.
we
I
don't
thought
have.
that rotate.
Wait, what?
We don't have
No,
that,
sorry, we don't have
right?
Nest Ball. What am I talking about? Yeah, we don't have Nest Ball. I don't know why I thought we had Nest Ball. We have Ultra Ball. Yeah.
Right. We don't have Nest Ball. We don't have Quick Ball. We don't have basic Pokemon Search. So it's
Oh,
a
I've
little
been
bit better than it.
sorry. I will say I've been playing a lot of Build and Battle, and then
Oh yeah.
the card they show you is Nest Ball, which is funny
Yes, which
sometimes.
because it's not a pro. Yeah, right. If you're doing build battle, give it a try in live. It's kind of fun. But yeah, so we have been. So you've been playing Nest Ball lately, right? Because
Yes.
it was around last year, but it's not. So basic Pokemon Search is limited to compared to what we've had for the last bunch of years. But we do have Ultra Ball and Buddy Buddy Poffin. So look, we're getting Pokemon reasonably well, and there are supporters. And you can't use that your first turn going first, but of course you can't use attack your first going first. So it's okay. Obviously, if you needed, what is it, Rescue Trolley? Is that what it's called? The one that
Precious
EA spec?
Trolley.
Precious Trolley, thank you. I knew it was something Trolley. And you're worried about reliability. Now you have a second card that does a similar thing. So if it was really key to make that happen, you could do it. But yeah, I don't think it's good enough. I think the energy one potentially is a little more interesting, just because they have to get these energies in hand, which is its own work, and it can be of all different types. So potentially, if you have a deck, either a box style deck, and you can get a number of Pokemon to play. I think that's
Yeah, you
not
attack with the
that's
one
not
Pikachu, and then you attack with the other Pikachu.
the following turn. You're giving up four prizes. No, yeah, you can't do that. But I think the energy one's more interesting. Something with different energy types probably be the way to make it work. The big problem though is first, obviously, you can only use it going second, and you really need to want to use it on your first turn to get things set up. Which obviously, if you don't get your Pokemon to play or you don't get the energies in hand, it's no good. But even if all that happens, you're giving up two prizes because at 190 HP, you got to assume you get knocked out turn two. And just to give up two prizes to hope you set up, that's a big hole to dig yourself in. So I don't think they're going to be good. They are interesting though. Just want to give them a little bit of thought, but I think yeah, they're not good enough.
Yeah, and I don't think they're always going to get knocked out turn two by your opponent, but they're going to get knocked out a good chunk of the time. And again, their value is like okay-ish, but it's kind of meh. They're not terrible cards truly, but they're not super good either.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, there's some cards that I don't think they're even worth talking about. These are worth the amount of time talking about, but I think we've covered them for as much as they're worth there, right?
Yeah. So now where do you want to go next? I don't think. I mean, look at these other cards. I don't think any of them are super good. I think there's maybe one that
Yeah.
is good or like okay. I think most of them aren't very good.
I mean, I think there's the evolutions. I think so. I'll just say there's a Cherubi, a Cherim. I don't think they're very good there. There's Victini. I think he's cute, but he's not good. Colorful Family for two, but that's fine on a pre-evolution that gets you something, but that's not the case here. Zero Aura. I'm not excited about that. I assume you're not. But then once you get to Espeon, I'd like to talk about that. You don't want to talk about the ones before Espeon, do you?
No, it's beyond the X.
Okay, so Espeon EX, the number of evolutions, like I said, with some nice alternate art. So let's see, what's the attack do again? For Psychic Colorless, it's 260 HP, by the way. Psychic Colorless, it does 30 damage times the number of Pokemon you have in play. So that's not bad, right? And obviously, with Terras, we have the stamina to expand the bench. So you could do 8 times 30, 240. We can power it up with one Crispin, potentially. Or it's a Psychic, so we can use Wondrous Patch as well, as long as we switch in. So powering it up, certainly not a problem. Or, at least not an insurmountable problem, right? That's always a question. And then, the evolutions, of course, lend themselves to a box style deck. If you're playing an EV deck, I think this is a nice addition to to the arsenal you have.
Maybe. I guess yeah. You do it Psychic Weakness, which hits Dragon Pokemon for weakness with Lotus Clefairy EX, which is nice. Is it better than attack with Lotus Clefairy EX? I mean, yeah, more HP. That's good. Regarding this, you can do as much as 270 as well. This is 30 more than Terapagos, so because it counts itself.
Yep.
Terapagos is bench Pokemon, so you can do up to 270 there, which is like kind of cool. And then regarding the Wonders patch thing, I was actually also thinking about this with like this and some of the other evolutions. And there's like, the Eevee that evolves quickly, but only if it's in the active. And then you can't Wonders patch to the Eevee on the bench. So that like is
Yeah.
kind of clunky. I guess you're just not doing that, but it is still funny. I guess you could like double retreat or like double switch or something weird like that. But yeah, definitely Espeon EX is I mean, it's not terrible. I don't expect it to really see play. You mentioned maybe in like an EV box deck, which is I think possible. We do have like the Terra stuff, so you could play Air Zero Underdepths easily. You have Lotus Clefairy EX as well, so it's okay. I don't think it's super good though. I think it's not good. I think it potentially could see a little bit of play, but my guess is it won't really see any play.
Look, first, it's a lot better than the Pikachu EXs, I would say. Because I can see it being workable. Look, I think ultimately what we're going to get to is there's the Mew EX that's really exciting. How good it is, we'll kind of have to discuss, and obviously time will tell on that. And then there's the evolutions, right? And there's not much else besides that in terms of playable cards. I think we're going to find, but
Yeah.
you know. So I think it's fine for an evolution box. Then we get to an Umbreon EX. Want to talk about him as well. So darkness type Pokemon here, 270 HP. And then the attack here, Lunatic Claw. Don't know if the translations are actually what they're going to be, but what the main text says will be correct. 100 damage plus. If your opponent's active Pokemon has any damage counters on it, it does 140 more. So you're doing 240 if it's damaged. We can obviously place damage counters, so then you have your 240 plus whatever the damage is already, and hopefully knocking out a rule box Pokemon with it. And again, it's darkness. So if you're in an evolution box set, we hit another weakness. That's part of what you're trying to go for here. And it's darkness colorless, so Crispin can work. We can't use Wondrous Patch in this case, but Wondrous Patch in an EV box probably is not what you're doing anyway. You kind of told the problem about that because the EV's not psychic Pokemon, so Wondrous Patch doesn't really work with that. So box style deck, you're gonna have a big mix of energies, so you can rely on Crispin, I think, to power things up as the game goes on.
Yeah, I think it's somewhat interesting. I mean, hitting the weakness is kind of cool. You're in this kind of weird middle range of damage, which is a little unfortunate. You'd rather it be a
Yeah.
little, probably less damage and less commitment, like less energy or like getting the damage counting. It is doable, but it's not super, super easy. It'd be nice if it was a little easier for this. And then the damage again isn't like super good. It's okay. Also, in terms of hitting Darkness Weakness, I don't think Darkness Weakness is very good right now, unless there's something big I'm forgetting. I guess Alex Sam's like a decent deck, which you hit for weakness, but like I suppose actually
Right.
you one shot it. You wouldn't one shot it without weakness if they didn't have damage counters on them. So that's like a thing, I suppose. That's kind of silly. Oh, there's Team Rocket's B2EX as well. We hit for weakness, which is kind of funny there, but overall, oh, Slowking as well. You hit for weakness. That again, another single prizer. So um, the weakness I feel like here is less relevant. Even with like post rotation or like ignoring Dragapult, you have like regular Lucario for like hitting psychic weakness. But I think Umbreon is, I don't know. I mean, I like damage counter stuff as well, but I just don't think this is super good. I mean, you can look at it like kind of with Monkey Dory, but it's just not a super good payoff there.
Yeah, look, and you got some nice art, so it's good for collecting. Even I enjoy looking at the arts here. It feel kind of weird. It's got essentially the same little imprint with Pikachu's head as the regular celebration. So I kind of feel like you should do something different. But that it's probably only meaningful if there get to be some good Darkness Week Pokemon down the road, right? And of course, it's only for evolution boxes as well.
Yeah. I actually have another art question for you. So, by the way,
Okay.
so there are these like the Pikachu EX, and we'll get to like the Mew EX and the Mewtwo EX. But they have this like weird pattern or like look to them. Do you like this look or do you not like this look? I don't know if we talked about this. We might have talked about it on the podcast. I don't think so though.
Oh, the multicolor thing that's going
Yeah.
on with them. And I think it has a new rarity name type. I think in the other article mentioned
Yeah.
something about that. I like the Pikachu. No, I don't like it. I gotta say, um, I don't. And even the Espion, yeah, it's very colorful in a funny way. Um, so I'm not a huge fan of it. I gotta say, I like things a little simpler, so they get a little busy for my taste. How about you?
Yeah, it's still busy. It's on the two Pikachus, and then I think the Mewtwo EX and the Mew EX. I think it's just those four we've seen so far.
Okay.
It's not. Yeah, it's on the Espeon, right? I don't think. I don't see it here, but I could
No,
be missing.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I think it's super ugly. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry, fans. Maybe it'll like look good physically, but I feel like in these images it looks kind of terrible. But anyways, wanted to say that. Speaking of kind of terrible, actually the Zorak, I don't think it's super terrible. I don't think it's super good either.
No.
If it's on the bench, your active Pokemon's retreat cost is 2 colors less. We've seen abilities like this in the past. There was a Toad Scroll. Is that card still in standard? I think that card is. Yeah, from Jerry Together, there's a Toadstool with the same ability. Hasn't seen like any play, and or it's seen like a tiny bit of play with some, because there were some decent Toadstools previously. It's not a truly terrible card. Funnily enough, it can get stuck. That is a thing that can happen. There's also a good Zoroark in Standard, or a decent one. It's played, I believe, in Slowking. It can copy stuff. It can do, I'm making it Darkest Weakness and do some stuff there as well. So I think this card's okay. I don't really expect it to see play, but I don't think it's a bad card.
Yeah, it's one worth. Yeah, it's one worth mentioning again. There are, like I said, there's other cards that we skipped that just aren't good. I think we named them all. But they didn't
Yeah, well,
not
there's
discussing them.
Zorua.
There's there right. There's a pre-evolution that's just not good. But you know, you need a pre-evolution, so that's fine. It's not so meaningful. First off, to reduce retreat cost with an evolution on the bench is rough anyway. So if that's what you're doing, we have air balloons. So as
Yeah.
long as air balloons in format, you'd much yes, we've lost Arvin, but I think I'd just rather run 2 air balloon than like a Zorak line, right? I would think I'm going to probably work better with that.
Yeah.
Where now you can stack it. So
I,
there we go. I think where you want to go is like you're using a dex of Pokemon with like retreat costs of 3 or more. Probably, you know, there's like a bunch of Pokemon with say retreat costs of 4, and if you need to do switching with those, then you have Zoroark and either multiple Zoroarks or a Zoroark and an air balloon to give the retreating. So I think that's where it may have. If you're going to play it, I think that's the kind of thing it would go. And I'm not sure what the you know what that would be. But I think some things are out there. There's the one that searches for cards, right? What's the one?
Swine?
No, it's a major one. It's in the active. You draw 2 cards, right? Is that retreat cost of 3?
Oh, but you can't use con. Yeah, yeah. But it's a basic. So you have a lot of SCX, which you're probably playing.
Yeah, that's too simple. We want to make it harder, right? We want to have to get our Zoroark evolution line and the tool attached for free retreat instead, right?
Yeah. No, I like completely forgot you can stack them. That is interesting with something like, some for a treat. I mean, you're looking at like a high
Hmm.
retreat cost evolution Pokemon. Most of those aren't
Yeah.
just not good. I mean, not that it can't be good. Having high retreat cost doesn't really correlate, or doesn't really cause a card to be bad very often. Um, Certainly lower retreat cost I mean, it is better. But it is interesting here. I do think, as I was saying, like there's the Zorak in standard, which is kind of good. Not ends. It is a different line. I think I've said this before. I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, it'd be so much cooler if you could pair it with End Zorak EX, but you have like
Yeah.
the Zorak um that does damage based on EXs your opponent has in play. It's 60 for each EX they have in play. This card's actually okay, I guess. Then there's the one from White Flare that does for 1 darkness 30 for each of their bench Pokemon, or for 3 colors, which again can be an ignition there. You copy one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks. So like that card's okay. This Zorak's also okay. There again is like that third one, I guess, as well. You could have something there. 2-3 line where you have like a 1-1-1 split of the stage ones. Could be something. It's a decent amount of commitment for probably not too much upside, to be honest, but I do like the idea of this card potentially if you are like, if you're running a Zorak line already, this is a one of that's like almost I mean, you're saying like you can't search Air Balloon, but if this isn't taking up 2 deck spaces, or like bench space for like waiting on it as an evolution because you're already playing the line, then I think this is decent. If this was on a I'm instead of Dracloak, I don't know if you'd actually play this over the like this is a one of over the other Dracloak, probably not, but um on a like a Lucario or something, you might play this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're playing a Zoroark box style deck, the other Zoroarks are retreat cost of 1, right? So it's not to help with the Zoroarks, it's to help with something else. And in which case, do you have too many pieces in your deck to make it work, right? That's where I wonder. But I think it's an interesting card. I'm glad they printed it. It's going to be kind of something to tinker around with. I don't think it's going to be great, but it's something to play with and try and come up with a concept, right, that you couldn't work otherwise.
Yeah, or just as like a nice little piece. Because I've been playing Air Balloon. I mean, Air Balloon's good, obviously. I play it. Lots of people
Yeah.
play it, and it's a card that is. I mean, it's useful. Like sometimes it's a part of your game plan, but a lot of times it's like, oh, I just start something I don't really want to start, so now I can get like retreat easier or something like that. This is an evolution. Obviously, that's a big pain point there, but I think this card is
Yeah.
still. I mean, I don't necessarily expect it to be good, but if we get like a good Zorak, I think it would be good.
Yeah, and and we have Latias now, but Latias rotates in a year, right? It's
Yeah.
a regulation mark H. These are regulation mark J. So you're gonna have 2 years of this without Latias. So it may start to see some play at that point when Latias rotates.
Yeah, that is true. I'm got an Eevee here. Not really much to see there. Now we're going to move on to our other, I guess, article here. This features the Mew extras we'll talk about. There's a bunch of Pikachus. The set has like a lot of Pikachus. This is 30. I don't know if that counts the EXs or Pikachu and Zekrom. So there's like a lot of Pikachus though. Long story short, that's a thing. I'm pretty sure they're all just not good. Um, the one searches for an energy, the one does like a little bit of damage, and the one does a little more damage and costs a little more. But I guess we'll talk about well, let's talk about Greninja EX here if you're all good with that. Greninja EX is also we'll skip Mewtwo and Mewtwo EX and Mew EX, but Greninja EX
Okay.
is I think somewhat interesting as well here. I've talked about this some on my channel already, and we talked about this a little together. I think like off the podcast, but for 2 water you do 160. You also have 300 HP low for a stage 2 here, lower than the
Yeah.
current standard Greninja EX. Wait. There's like a bunch of Greninja EXs in standard, isn't there? Or there's multiple.
Yes.
Um, it's lower than it's tied with one from Stellar Crown, which that card is pretty bad. This one does 160 for 2 water, not very good, but Stealthy Slash for 1 water. You do 30 to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each damage counter on that Pokemon. This is doing damage, so keep that in mind. But yeah, this card quite simply quadruples the damage on a Pokemon, again, through the use of doing damage, so it can be stopped by Shaman there, and also doesn't hit Terrors on the bench. But yeah, it's interesting, specifically with the Mega Greninja EX or the maybe the regular Greninja EX as well.
Yeah, if you're playing Mega Greninja, either Mega or not, which is certainly people are playing it now partly because it's new, but it's Greninja certainly it's an option. I don't know how strong it is, but it's certainly not a bad Pokemon or deck idea. I would think I'm slapping one copy of this in. It's a way to knock out something on the bench, finish off something on the bench at the retreat without having to have boss, right? It's going to be kind of a finisher, this Pokemon. It's not going to be your main attacker, because otherwise you have to get damage counters in play. Obviously, I guess we have the Mega Greninja to get the damage counters around, and then you could even pair it with that. When I've been playing with Greninja decks, which I've done some, I think you have too. Honestly, I found that the new the Mortal Shuriken ability, something I haven't used as much as I would have thought. I got to say, but so it's there. It's not bad. You can get damage counters on the active with the Mega Greninja's ability, or just finish stuff off on the bench. So it's going to see some play. Of the cards we've talked about, this is the one that I think is definitely going to see some play. The first one that I put in that category.
Yeah. I imagine this will see a little play in Mega Greninja decks. Mega Greninja is still in Japan doing like okay, which is beautiful because it's not from the newest set, so people are still playing it. It's like it's all right.
Okay.
It's not like super good, but it's okay. So yeah, I think it works decently. Like honestly, with Mortal Shark and the ability, I think that on the Mega Greninja, I've been using it. So it definitely feels like it has some sense of untapped potential. Also, one of my favorite
Hmm.
cards ever is there's an Esper and there's some other cards like it that did something similar. Those were on. I mean, that was a quote free attack on a basic Pokemon. So this is not that. It is a stage two prizer for 1 energy, but it's still not like a crazy commitment. I think it probably slots in as a one of in some Mega Greninja decks. Maybe most to be honest. And so I think the card's all right. One other issue is that it is from the same line. That is good, right? That means it's easier to slot into the deck.
Yeah.
But then you also, and as you're saying, you need to pair it with one of the other ones. Like you want to use the ability there, but it's like a little clunky to be switching in and out. You can use like the stadium, but it's just a little clunky. And then also on top of that, you do have another Greninja line open, or another like Froakie slash Frogadier open for this Greninja EX. So you're sacrificing one of the other cards kind of to put this one into play. It depends on the board situation, how big of a sacrifice that is, but this isn't really a card you're going to put into play as your first Brigadier evolution.
No, you meant I'm glad you mentioned the stadium because we're playing Mega Greninja, playing the Fighting Greninja as kind of the other Greninja option, which what 170 and search your deck for a card to hand good, or it can hit the bench 120 to 2 for 3 energies as well. So nice options to have. But you mentioned the stadium, which switches your active water with a benched water Pokemon. And of course, if I'm playing the Fighting Greninja, which most of the time I that's like one of my Greninjas, I can't use the stadium. So this will allow me to use the stadium more. So that's a plus with this Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm looking at my Hero Ninja list. I'm trying to find the stadium, and I like they're not a lot of them aren't playing it because it's just like kind of clunky. It's
Okay.
not bad. It's okay. It's good if you're like leaning into the ability and you want to use it multiple times the same turn. And again, here it works with that, so that's interesting. Um, yeah, I don't think there's too much more to add about it, but it is potentially
No.
it's probably the best card we've taken a look at, maybe.
Yeah, look, this one will see play for sure, right? Because I don't think Mega Greninja is going to disappear, and yeah, the others are probably more sketchy as to how much they'll be played. So, but yeah, I think we covered everything we need to for it so far.
Yeah. And we got some more evolutions here. So we got Espeon. This one for psychic for 3 psychic colors it does 90,
Yep.
which is like an attack. And then you have for psychic colors you do a devolution attack. You devolve all your opponent's Pokemon by putting the highest stage evolution into their hand, or all their evolved Pokemon, I should say. So yeah, this allows you
Yeah.
to devolve. We have some ways to kind of devolve. This one is a little different than the other ones, just like a little bit, because it devolves all of them, but it is 2 energy
Yeah.
here. I don't think this is super good, even in an evolution style deck. Devolving is it can get you knockouts. It usually in getting those knockouts takes less prizes, and usually isn't going to be like super detrimental to their board, because it's probably not doing like it's probably not knocking out all their previous evolution.
Okay, first off, I love devolution attacks and I
Yes.
love devolving. So I do. So when I saw this, I'm super excited. First off, I think it's great. It's great that it's here. I don't know that I'm not saying it's going to be great. I like the idea of playing an evolution box. I like I haven't played like Flareon in a while, something like that. Those Pokemon are out there too. So we do have some evolutions that are okay. So we're adding this to it. So this will make the evolutions box a little bit better. I don't. It's not going to bring it up to the top tier, but I think it'll make it as an option because right now I'm not playing an evolution box. It just doesn't come to my mind. I don't feel like I'm missing something by not doing it. I got to say, um, this is a very tech piece in the deck. Probably not as long as Dragapult's around. A devolution attack like this isn't so good. It's is what I'll say because what first off we're devolving usually rule box Pokemon. If we take a knockout, that's nice, but we're taking one less prize. I've said that before. The other thing is sometimes you're not knocking out your opponent's Pokemon, but if it was good in the pre-Dragapult days, these attacks had more value too, because there's the TM devolution, right? And I would play that some. And if it for decks that relied on rare candy, which was the thing in the past, everyone was playing rare candy and sometimes not playing any stage ones. Then you devolve, and all of a sudden they can't just slap the Pokemon down to evolve it again, which is a big deal. Dragapult, Drakelote's ability, very good. So all you're doing is your opponent Dragapult goes to hand. They can use their Dracloak again the next turn when they wouldn't have otherwise, and then just slap it down to evolve. So in the Dragapult world, it's not very good, but this will outlast Dragapult, and then it may become more valuable down the line.
Yeah, and it does hit the bench. There are a handful of others that hit the active and
Yeah.
like do a little bit of damage. So this is, it's better, or it does something else there. I will say regarding a lot of these evolutions, as in like all of them that we've taken a look at today, because like Flareon's an okay deck. It's not super good, but it's like playable, right?
Yeah.
Flareon is the best of the evolutions. The other ones are like kind of okay-ish, and so they're all right. But like the other ones that are already out in standard, I'd say probably all those we've taken a look at are worse than. I mean, they're all worse than Flareon. Flareon, like is a generally good Pokemon or generally like decent Pokemon, and these are more like specifics. They could be tech options, but in terms of even as tech options, they're not super good, I wouldn't say. And I'd put Espeon in that category too. I do like Devolution, I guess. I mean, I like evolving my own Pokemon. I'm not gonna lie. I wish there was more of that, but Espeon, the ability is okay. People play Noctowl as well. Like, if
Oh yeah,
that's
that's true.
around,
Now you've
that's
helped
pretty
them.
bad. But that's like the opposite of when you want to use, it, right? But I think
Right.
this card's it's like a little interesting. It's also 2 energy, which it's payable, obviously, but it's not like
Yeah.
the this isn't 1 energy on literally anything like Team Devolution. And Team Devolution, as a card was only good in a handful. I mean, it was a decent card, right? But it wasn't some
Mm.
like powerhouse, and this is just a lot more awkward. It's workable in like an evolution deck, but it's like barely workable, I'd say.
Yeah, look, it's not going to go in non-evolution decks, I don't think. TMD Evolution saw some play. It really saw play in the time when that window when we had Charizard, Pidgeot as potentially the top deck, and then people weren't playing any stage ones because it was just a rare candy deck. And once you got the Pidgeot, you were just rolling, and like TMD Evolution just kind of was the crusher for that deck. So if we get this will now they obviously adjusted those lists, so the threat of the so if we get to that world again, it may have some value, but yeah, it's not really gonna. I'm hoping to play some evolution boxes right now. I don't see this going in the list though.
Okay.
The,
Um, yeah, I think that's fair. Then we have another EX here. We got Sylveon EX. This one is interesting. Another psychic one here for psychic colors. Colors to do 50 for each type of basic energy attached to all your Pokemon, maxing out at the 8 types there. Of course, 8 types as there are 8 types or something.
a good
Yeah,
channel name.
yeah, channel name. Yeah, no, there aren't 10 types of basic energies. This doesn't count colorless. I mean, there's not basic colorless energy. In
Right.
expanded, it would count fairy. But so you have up to 8 types of energy there. That would be 400 damage. You're probably not looking to
Yep.
do that much. But yeah, you're looking to do maybe like have 7 different types of energy, six, maybe even five if you're hitting like a two prize basic or something like that, which is a lot of energies of different types. So it's like, yeah, just Crispin, but like, that's a lot of Crispins.
Yeah. Well, yes. Well, that's why that's why you're playing the Pikachu to get
Yeah,
going
you
here,
can.
right? You
Yeah, I still don't say
don't.
that, which is funny. Um, I still don't know how you're gonna get the engine into your hand. I guess you just use Crispin for that one too. But
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, what you're doing this if I'm playing like a Flareon deck, this is going in the Flareon deck, I think, right? Because Flareon, you already have the big attack is for fire, water, lightning. Its first attack, fire, colorless, does 130. Search your deck for 2 basic energies, attach them to one of your Pokemon. So you're kind of setting up the Sylveon. Obviously, it can take multiple types on and of itself. So you're gonna have a deck with a whole bunch of different energy types, and it's a fun look. I like decks like that. I think kind of a Flareon on deck could utilize this. It gives you the potential to one shot anything in the game, right? Which because even like the Flareon gets to 280s, the cap, so potentially you're getting to 400 here. You're not going to do that consistently. Even get to 350, which you're going to want to get above 300. That's going to be a reach. So if the question is, can you get to 350? More than half the time with it? And I'm concerned the answer is probably going to be no, unfortunately.
yeah, and honestly, also just even attacking with it. Like if this card was 2 energy, I think it would be like pretty fair. I think it might see
Yeah.
some play. I'd be like a lot more happy about it. I don't even think it would be crazy good. I think it would be like fine at a 2 energy, and it's not. It's at 3 energy. Yes, you
Yeah.
need a bunch of energy on your board anyways to actually be able to do substantial damage there. But I do think that this card is honestly, it's so tempting, right? You're a big fan of Sylveon VMAX,
Yeah.
and that deck was cool, and there are different decks like that. If you're not familiar, it's damage based on different types of Pokemon as opposed to different types of energy, so it encourages playing some weird stuff, and it's just really fun there. And this
Yeah.
isn't that, so I feel like it has some potential. This one maybe could see some play, but I'm not really expecting it to.
Yeah, I mean, even an EV box, it might not get there. It's going to depend how it builds, because like to attack with it in one turn, you got a Wondrous Patch, Crispin, and Switch, and right, and that's asking for that's asking for just too much, right? And even if that's all you have, now you're doing 150, and that's terrible, right? So you have to have like your board really set up even beforehand, so it's probably just not going to be good enough. But it's fun, and I'm probably going to give it a try to get something out of this. I got to say.
Yeah, it is kind of fun there. There might be some fun combos and expand or something. I don't know. You can just play your you'll use Pikachu EX. You'll first play your Brilliant Blender, and then you'll play your Max Rod. And yeah, just be like subtle so your opponent doesn't notice you're like cheating. But yeah, no. Sylveon EX is it's okay. I actually think the next one here, Umbreon, is also okay. Um, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think it's super good, but I think it's better than I think you think it is. So this card here does 100 for 3, which is kind of whatever, not very good. But then for 1 on the again a stage 1 Darkness, here it is an evolution. You do 30, but if any of your Pokemon are knocked out last turn, you do 100 more. So that's 130 there. In some ways, this is I don't know if I say quite nostalgia, but there's like an older Umbreon with this same attack from uh, from Lost Thunder, which I think it was like
Okay.
okay. Uh, so I'm just looking through the decks on the Limitless as I do, and one of these has like a bit of a typo, I guess, or like a formatting issue. Anyways, I'm getting
Okay.
distracted here. Umbreon though, it is 130 with the weakness. It is 260, so that's like okay. I mean, it's not super good, but it is just 1 energy, so it is like payable. Again, I don't think it's super good, but good to see play. I think it is possible as like a weakness deck and an evolution box deck.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think it's a viable card for sure. If you're playing for evolution decks, you're not gonna put it into a non. It's not so good. I'm putting an EV line into a non evolution deck. But if I'm playing an evolution deck, I think I'm slotting this in as 1 energy, unless I don't want darkness energy in the deck, and then there's more deck slots too. But having that ability to do 130, and obviously you choose the time when you attack with it. So when they take knock something out, and it's something with weak to darkness. Yeah, it's not as interesting as the Sylveon before it, but it's probably a more useful card than the Sylveon EX.
Yeah. Also, I will mention. At first, I was like, like, you wouldn't put this in anything other than an EV deck. But then I was like, wait, you can play the EV that evolves quickly. The EV that evolves quickly was, I think, Searching Sparks. Let me double check on that one, which was what regulation mark is that? This is an H. So it will be rotating this coming year. But that's fine, I guess. So then you can get this into play in 1 turn. This actually works with the Umbreon here,
Mm.
because you're not like doing some weird bench engine acceleration. So that works. And then you're able to use this. And at first I was like, you need to be playing Darkness Energy, right? Obviously, there's also this doesn't work with Luminous. Well, Luminous isn't in standard. It doesn't work with Prism there. It would just work with like Legacy. So you don't really have an energy of every type that would work with these. But you
Yeah,
could if you're already playing Darkness Energy, then this is good. But like if you're playing Darkness Energy, at first I was like, oh, you're playing a Darkness stack, but no, because everyone's playing like Munkidori and like Dragapult. So
right.
you could use this. Actually, wait, let me check something. Now, Liz Clefairy X has to be weak to metal. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, but oh wait, all of them are weak to metal. Yeah, never mind. The Clefairies. That was a
Okay.
stupid thing to even look up, but this does allow you to hit weakness in a deck that isn't necessarily playing Darkness Pokemon because you're playing the Darkness Energy from Munkidori. So I think that is a little interesting to note.
Yeah, yeah. We hit into darkness weakness doing then 260 with the after you multiply it. Yeah, it'll have value. So I guess it's yeah, not bad. Like I said, it's not as interesting, right? It's not so spicy because it does what it does, which of course is what makes it good, right? But
Yeah,
less interesting.
or like okay, it's not that good, but it's I think it's all
Well,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Then
And
got
then
anything else
we
you want
got
to
a
talk about?
couple. No, well,
Okay.
we got these other couple Pokemon. I just want to mention. I don't think there's anything really particularly good about them. There's a Lapras. Search your deck for Supporter for 1 energy. Put it to your hand for its attack. Control. But I don't think for an attack you're going to use it. So I could be wrong. You're a more control person. Do you think it has any value there?
Uh, I don't really think so. We'll get to control later though.
Okay, That's always the thing to do. Excellent. There's a Drifloon. not in anything at all there. There's a Lycanroc. It does. Here's the attack. Potentially, this is a good attack on the right Pokemon. Counter for 1 fighting energy does 10, and then if this Pokemon was damaged by an attack of your opponent's last turn, it does that much more damage. Super awesome. Of course, Lycanroc has 130 HP, so you can do up to 120 more, assuming you're, because you got to survive a hit. So, and so it's just not any good, right?
Yeah, you could
There.
cape it.
Yeah. Wait, is that in format?
You could Heroes Cape it.
Okay, Heroes Cape. Yes, we could do that. You have to already been evolved though, right? Because you can't if it's a pre-evolution.
Oh yeah, because then you'll
Then
evolve, and then the effect on it will reset. Yeah.
then it's a different Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
So you already have to have the Heroes Cape and evolved, and your opponent just has to hit into it and miss what's going to happen. But yeah, and there's a Hisuian Zorua as well, which again is essentially it's worth ignoring.
Yes. It's a colorless Pokemon that does 20 for one colorless and has 60 HP. That's crazy. Honestly, I forgot that Hisuian Zorua can be colorless. I guess that makes sense because Hisuian Zoroark V-Star was colorless. But yeah, we haven't seen a colorless Hisuian Zorua before, so that's cool, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, then we got the Mewtwo EX. This is another one of those, futuristic rare is the term here. I'll just read it. And it has 2 attacks. The second one is 230 for 3 psychic, which is okay. Can't attack at all next turn. And then, oh, by the way, this is like a new rarity. The cards like look substantially different, but they are just like normal EXs in terms of gameplay. I don't know if we said that before. We kind of didn't talk about it too much, but they are not a new mechanic. But then for, which a lot of people were, by the way, speculating they were going to be a new mechanic because they were like super teased. But that was just art stuff. So anyways, then 2 psychic, it does 50 to each of your opponent's Pokemon EX there. So yeah, what are your thoughts on these attacks? Card?
Yeah, the second attack is bad. 230 for 3. I can do something better than that. Can't attack again. Yeah, thanks a lot for taking something that's not good, making it bad. But photon bullets for two energies, and they have the energy symbols different, right? With these two, if
Yeah, it almost looks like there's an eyelid on top of it, in my opinion, which is kind of weird because there's like already an eyelid on the psychic side. Maybe that's just like I'm imagining that.
It looks to me like there's like a kind of a candy bar in the middle of it, but that's where my mind's at. So it's kind of this almost rectangular shape to me, but it's whatever. I guess that's part of the art is they've changed some of the visuals on the energy markers too. But the 50 to each opponent's EXs is it's interesting, right? I don't think we've had something like that before. So of course, if it's not something to EXs per se, right?
I feel like we probably have. I don't know. Oh wait, no, we had Vaporeon EX, which everyone's favorite evolution. This card does 60 to each of their EXs. It's watercolorless. It is on a stage 1 here. It says a downside, which can evolve quickly. And so first of all, I want to say a couple of. I don't know if I'm kind of cutting you off here, but like, the second attack isn't, as you're saying, like it's not super good, but it might actually be the better attack. Not because it's good, because the other attack isn't super good. It's definitely less interesting and unique. But then the second thing with Vaporeon EX, this card, admittedly, Vaporeon was in a worse, the metagame was in a worse state for it at the time than it is now. But there was like so many Terras, and so then you'd like go and you'd attack, and then you just like wouldn't do anything because you'd hit a bunch of Terras, and then they all just don't take the damage. So it's super bad. But there's still a bunch of Terras in the game right now, so it's still not super good. But I mean, you look at like Meowth EX, going after that's kind of cool. Obviously, you're not like, I mean, you 4-shot Meowth. That's not good.
Yeah, no. I mean, what I'm doing is I'm Mewtwo EXing, and then I'm hitting what was it, the Espeon? I'm devolving everything.
Oh,
and I
yeah,
wiped out their board.
Oh, I was about to say that's cool. And it is like you don't knock anything out doing that probably. So you said Mewtwo twice.
Yeah, that's true. So okay, that's not a problem. I Mewtwo twice. They both get knocked out. My opponents feeling good about themselves, and boom, I devolve and I win the game. So
on their board
that
of
would be
6 EXs that are like it's all evolution EXs that also aren't Terras.
Yes, but hey, it would be a lot of fun to do that, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
So it's look, you're right, 50 per. It's the first attack is what's interesting. It's quote the better attack on it, but it's Yeah, it's not going to be good enough, I don't think. It gives you the option to finish something off on the bench. That's what probably what it does more realistically. But especially if you have a deck that's coming up short repeatedly, and they end up with multiple Pokemon on the bench that are 50 away from within 50 of being knocked out, and there are it happens, right? For sure.
Like Dragon Ball.
And yeah. And obviously with the megas, if you finish it off, you're now getting a third prize instead of two prizes if it's on the bench. Potentially two megas, of course, there wins the game. So it could have value in that, but it's not a Mewtwo deck, so it is a basic, so you could put it in. You have to either crispin, have another type of energy, of course, so you can get the attachment and then attach by hand with a psychic you already have in hand, or you're having to use Wondrous Patch and switch. So to get it set up in one turn, I think is awkward. So I think it's just not going to work as a finisher, but that's probably more the realistic way to look at it.
Yeah, I think it's a little interesting. It's almost interesting, is what I'd say. Not even good, but interesting. And I don't think it clears the bar as interesting, unfortunately. But it's a fun little thought experiment there, I guess. But then moving on to the last card, MUEX, which is definitely a fun little thought
Yes.
experiment. This is the card we're going to probably spend the most time on. We spend a decent amount of time on different cards, which is good. But
Yep.
MUEX here is the star of the show. And the question is exactly how good it is. I know we each did some prep. I mostly looked at cards to pair with it, but I know you took a look at some similar cards and things like that to see how good it is. But it's 160 HP basic EX, so that is not good. That is, I believe, the lowest in the game. We're tied for that. I'm not 100% sure, but it seems like it should be. Certainly of anything that sees like is close to seeing play, and we saw like Squawkabill with that HP. It does have Free Retreat, which is nice. It is Darkness Weak, Fighting Resistance. Unsurprisingly, it doesn't attack for one Psychic, 30, switch to the bench. That's something. It's not very good there, but it is something. And then Memory Helix, your ability, which by the way, the ability symbol, or like, where it says ability, it's very
Yeah.
green. Very strange, but uh, yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's weird, right? You agree with that?
Yeah, it's not the color, the visuals we would have expected. No, I thought, did I get confused? I thought it was here for the attack, which you haven't got to yet. Maybe you're saving it. Teleportation burst for one psychic does 30 and you switch to the bench. And I've been studying how to pair this with Crustle for the last two
Oh,
days.
that's
Did,
true. Yeah. Yeah. Um,
all right. But it's
the,
here for the ability, so go ahead.
yeah, yeah. What you do is this Pokemon can use the attacks of any of your bench Pokemon, but you still need the energy there. So we've seen cards like this in the past, which, as I said, you've like looked into some. But yeah, this ability is super fun. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
super good. We've seen cards like this in the past that are super good, but they were like a while ago in a different times in the Pokemon TCG and were stronger abilities, I think. Or I mean, again, the HP is quite low here.
Oh yeah, essentially you're just saying take two prizes. First, I just want to say what it's not though before we consider what it is, because we get I think I probably why I get excited is I think it's like things that it's really not. Like it's oh Reggie Drago was really awesome because it could copy attacks. Except Reggie Drago first off copy from the discard pile, that's better. And Reggie Drago's it used its energy, so now you've got to be able to get you're restricted to the energy of the attacker. So that's one issue. A card like Mewtwo and Mew GX again was copied. You needed the energy like this, but it copied from the discard pile, I think, or the bench, right?
Yeah.
Um, but from the discard, usually you use the discard pile, so you have to have it on the bench, and you have to have the same energy, and it's low HP. So you have this question of like, if I have like a stage 2 EX that's not a mega in play, I pretty much just want to attack with that instead of the Mew EX because I'm tankier. So the use case I think becomes pretty narrow for because I need the Pokemon in play. I need the energy. So unless obviously Psychic type does get the Wondrous Patch, so it opens up that as a possibility which I was considering. But the actual where it's useful I think is pretty narrow.
Yeah, I think it's in, as you're saying, with like a high HP EX, it's you just want to attack with that, and that's any EX compared to Mew EX. Essentially, any two prize EX you want to attack with that instead of Mew
Right.
EX. I will mention here it does allow you to hit Psychic Weakness. I think this card could be
Right.
used as attack within a deck, like say maybe Raging Bolt EX, where you can play Lilies Clefairy EX, then you're hitting Psychic Weakness, and hitting Psychic Weakness is that's good there. and you don't need to play
Yeah.
psychic energy. You just play the energy you're already, you're already playing in your deck. So that gives you an
Yeah.
option. It's not a super super good option, but it's a decent option. I think it might see play. I'm interested in seeing whether it will or not. But then we also have the the fact that it is a two prizer, so it does have more HP than like single prizers. Specifically, you have like baby Pokemon with 30 HP.
Right.
And then you also have Pokemon that give up three prizes. Now you're only giving up two. Obviously, you're losing a lot of HP there. Like with something like Sinbei, Kangaskhan, you're losing 140 HP there. That's just kind of rough. But you are giving up one less prize.
Yeah, so the babies, I guess, and maybe you're gonna get there with it. It does, by the way, it does have free retreat,
Yeah.
so it's a plus, for sure. So it can make something that's on the fence to being playable, being played to pushing it in the deck. So we do have the babies, we do have with the free attract cost. So now you can do with something more tankier. I don't know if this is part of your control thought or not, but I can just start Badooing and I'm at 160. So if my opponent can't set up, or if they're just hitting me with Badoo's back, I'm going to win that battle, right? So it's an interesting thought. We don't need to make more Badoo's in the world, but maybe that's one of the ways it works.
Yeah, it's Badmuyu, Badoo. I don't know. Um, yeah. So that was honestly
Yeah,
like I think legitimately though this with Badoo is decent. Like you just have a lot more
yeah,
HP, which is good. You're not like super tanky, but when you're really going after your opponent's resources, that is good. There are some other babies as well that are okay that do some different things, but I think Badoo's obviously the best. There's something like Accelerate. I think, with Mewtwo and Mew, this is kind of similar. It's not the same as you were saying, because the Pokemon you're copying, I mean, you could just attack with normally. You're not like cheating evolution with this, like you kind of were in Mewtwo and Mew, and also you're not tanky, but you could like do something like Joltik. You could copy the Joltik or just attack with the Joltik. I think that's the best energy acceleration attack there. I guess there's that Pikachu EX as well that we mentioned earlier. But Joltik gets a bunch of energy there, and that's kind of good. You can get energy on multiple different Mew EXs and attack with different things. And again, be more tanky than Joltik if you want. I don't think that's something you're super looking for, but yeah, I think you're looking at copying some of those babies there. I do think Badoo though is card. If you want to play a Mew EX deck, I think Badoo will be um an important piece within that.
yeah, I would think so. Is it good? Is it an option for like a Dragapult deck for Dragapult mirrors, which are obviously a real thing? We have the Lulu's Clefairy, so now you're doing you're one
20.
shotting. What's that?
Wait, sorry. What are you talking about?
If I
Oh,
play Mew EX in a Dragapult deck for let's say for the Dragapult mirror, right?
yeah,
And I play Lulu's Clefairy too. Now I can copy Dragapult's attack, right?
yeah.
So I'm one shotting my opponent's Dragapult, and I'm getting to place 6 damage counters on the board. So that's not bad. My one concern is, well, it's probably not my only concern, but in the Dragapult mat with Dragapult, I with even without weakness, they're just Dragapult's one shotting me back and spreading damage counter. So I don't love that, but I guess this potentially is easier to get going since it's a basic. I'm not sure. What are your
Well, no,
thoughts
it's
about
not
that?
usually going because you need the
Yeah,
stage in play. You could use Wondrous Patch
yeah,
though here. Um, again, which is like interesting, I guess. But then also, oh, and you can use this with telepathic psych energy, which you can't use with
mm.
like the Dreepies, which is kind of interesting.
uh,
Uh,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
because that is a good card. Yeah.
yeah, that's really nice there. And then you can also use you could actually be copying Badoo and then have Lotus Clefairy EX in play and be doing 20. Um, that's a thing.
Yeah. Well, honestly, if you're stopping your opponent from setting up the Dragapult deck, then you are putting pressure on because you're knocking things out twice as fast. So now they have less turns just to top deck till they get set up. So yes, that is a benefit in that matchup.
Yeah. So that's like I guess quote interesting. I don't know if interesting is quite the right word there, but it is something. And then what other stuff do you have? I don't know how much stuff you prepared. You mentioned the stuff it's not like, but I don't know if you have other good combos.
Okay. So what I'm where my thought is the best use case for it is copying obviously evolution two prizers not good because this gets knocked out easier. Copying outside of maybe Badoo, single prize Pokemon is generally not going to be better. Yes, it's tankier, but I'm still going to get one shot because everything hits for 160, right? Essentially. So now I'm just giving it an extra prize. So it's really a three prize Pokemon that I think I want to be copying with it. That's what I'll say. And then it gets down to it's a basic, so I can power this up one turn, set it up, just slap it down, power it up. I do have Wondrous Patch, so that opens up something that has colorless in its attack cost. Particularly like I was thinking, even particularly like let's say like a basic Pokemon, a basic Mega with colorless and or psychic, so I could use maybe Mega Latias was the best one I came up with is a use case. Um, you do 300, you discard all your energy in there. So and I can Crispin and Wondrous Patch switch, easy peasy there, right? Not a problem. You can copy your Megas Kangaskhan EX if you want to use the ability to get some cards, then use the attack, but you don't want to have a three prize in the active, right? So you get to draw and then retreat to the bench, hit with this, something like that. So that's one part of what I'm thinking is Megas could be an evolution or a basic or not. So well, first I had something else too, but what do you think about that with basic Mega Pokemon?
Yeah, I was also thinking that idea. Again, you're losing so much HP, which really sucks. Also, like, I mean, Mega Latias EX, there's like card that powers up Mega Latias EX, that like specifically
Yeah,
powers up Mega Latias EX, the Latios. So, or kind of powers it up. So that's like kind of a pain there that you can't use that with Mew, and Mega Latias EX is not super good. It's pretty bad. I like it. I think it's underrated, but it's not super good. There is Mega Dancy EX. Mega Dancy, I think is a decent, solid option within the
yeah,
deck. Able to do 240 for 2 feels like just a decent attack in general there. And then Mega Float EX is actually also interesting here with the Eternity Bloom. Normally, I think attacks that like set you up and also like
yeah,
these setup damage expensive-ish attacks are kind of bad. I don't hate them in Toolboxy deck where you're like attacking with one Pokemon. Here you can do 200 damage, which is okay, and then also you search for a bunch of basic energies and Mega Float EX itself is weak in terms of HP anyways, so attack with Mew EX, whatever. I mean, yes, it has 90 more HP than Mew EX, but it's not super tanky for a Mega. It's very not tanky for a
right.
Mega there, unless you have the Stadium with the other Stadium. So, which I have not seen anyone do ever. I'm sure people have done it, but I just haven't seen it. So this accelerates a bunch of energy from the deck as well as doing damage. So it's like a decent mid-game attacking option there. So yeah, those are the ones I had there. I think you could do some like stage ones. It feels kind of bad because they're like way tankier and hard to get into play as
Yeah.
well. But you could do different builds like Mega Lucario or like a fighting. Wait, what's Mega Lucario actually do? Let me take a quick look. Mega Lucario. Okay, yeah, it can accelerate to
Yeah.
not fighting Pokemon. So I wanted to quickly check that out. So you could do that.
Right, and yes, your damage levels you're getting blown up every time, but now your opponent has to take three prizes instead of two prizes, so that could potentially tip the game in your favor, right? So I think that's a possibility for sure with any of the megas, um, and I had a non mega thought too, but anything else on the megas?
Um, I like wrote this stuff down on a post-it note. It's super messy. I think
Okay,
that's it. I mean, there's like Mega Odd No EX, and the card's just like kind of decent.
yeah,
The big basic, whatever. Let's call
okay.
this. But yeah.
I have some. There's not much here. So the other thing I thought is about dragon type because dragon type needs multiple colors. Because if I'm just have a psychic Pokemon, honestly, and why would I? What's the upside to it? Not a lot for the most part, right?
Yeah.
So, but dragon Pokemon that use psychic energy as one of their energy types, right? And when I search, maybe I'm missing stuff. Right now I'm looking at three Pokemon, and it seems like there should be more than that. But one is Dragapult, which we've
Yes.
talked about, and you're probably just better playing Dragapult. I will say, but it's fun to get complicated. One you've already mentioned is we've talked about is Mega Latias, right? Which is okay. It does for three energy, just 300. So that if you're trying to build a Mew EX box style deck, then you probably Mega Latias. I can see that in the deck. I don't think you're going to do well with a Mew EX box deck, but it's a fun thing to try. And then I have one which I forgot was in format, which you're probably not playing, but that's Miraidon EX from
Yeah, I
the future
also have that.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
And again, it's not good, right? So, but there's that line of thought there, but I don't think there's any good partners for it really at the moment. Is that kind of where you'd agree on that
Um.
too?
Yes. Oh, so I got some others here. So that you get those are all yours,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. So
So
go
I went
ahead.
down a bit of a rabbit hole, unsurprisingly, just looking at a bunch of different cards. So there are there's just a bunch of different cards here. There's a Regigigas. That one does a bunch of damage to an active. It is 4 colors there, but you could like one dispatch or whatever.
What's the
Um,
Pokemon?
Regigigas, the one from
Oh, Richie Gigas.
Prismatic
Okay.
Evolution. That one, does just 330 to a Terra, so that one shots Dragapult. I guess you one shot Dragapult with like a lot of things hitting for a weakness with those Clefairy EX, but that's still an option, I guess. There's
Yep.
also um that's the main one that's like a big damage option. There is a really funny card which is was it? It's the I have it on the paper. Wu Chen from Surging Sparks. This card this one does 20 for 2, but then and I actually play this card in a video. It's like super bad, but it does if you have 3 or fewer cards in your deck, it does 120 to 2 points to bench Pokemon. So that's like funny. Um,
Yes.
and it's like grass color, so you can do Prism and like Wondrous Patch or whatever, and swing there, and that is it is good if you pull it off. So it's like funny.
Yeah. I mean, if you have, yeah. I mean, I guess the question is, are you better off with just Wu Chen in your deck rather than uh the Mew EX, right? But
Probably none of the above.
well, you're probably better off just staying away from the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, this is what you want to go for a Mew EX box style deck, and this is kind of yeah. I mean, this is kind of what you're chasing. Things like this, which you need to get something more consistent because if you want to go for like the Wu Chen piece, that's a fun thing on occasion. You probably wasted the deck space with it, but that's okay, right? It's fun, but you need something a little more reliable to get going. That's the question. Which right now, I don't think right now either of us really have the answer for it. I
Um,
think right is
I
that's
think
where we're at.
it's. I mean, there are Pokemon that set you up like Joltik. There is also
Yeah.
Badoo. You could just like sit behind Badoo a bunch. I think that's an
Yeah,
option.
no, Badoo's for, yeah. I thought you hated Joltik though.
Oh, no, I think Joltik Box was just bad because it like never set up. But um, yeah. Wait, why is this Screamtail? Okay, I didn't like realize Cards and Prismatic Evolutions they weren't all in standard. Or I guess I kind of knew that, but so I was looking at Screamtail because there's Screamtail EX as well. You can only use this turn when going
Yeah.
second, but the one attack, but it supporter locks them. That card's like a card. This card I think actually saw some play. I thought it was an expanded, but you got that, and then you could also do 120 discard energy from their active for 3. That's bad. But there's also a Paldea and Tauros. This is the water one. Um, I find it here. This one does 30 for 2 colors and puts up to 2 energy attached to opponent's active stage 2 into their hand. So it's a bit of a Dragapult counter there again, which is honestly an interesting card. I don't know if it's good, but it is interesting. Then, well, interesting to me. There's some other control stuff like LGM, Dedenne, like other like retreat lock stuff. Funnily
Yeah.
enough, the fighting retreat lock stuff, you don't have weak resistance anymore, so that could be bad, but whatever. And then there's also, let's see, one thing that's interesting as well is like, Pheasant Dipty EX, that has an attack. The attack's like okay. It's not very good,
Yeah.
but it's essentially never used because like, they want to commit to it like ever. It's generally pretty bad. But if you're committing energy to your board and you have Pheasant Dipty EX in play, and to a lesser extent, Meowth EX, then you can attack with them and get some value from the attack there, which is interesting. So that's kind of cool. There's also Black Hero EX. It's another Dragapult counter. I found like so many Dragapult counters. I don't know if they're good, but Black Hero EX does 90 and paralyzes a dragon Pokemon for 3 colors there. So that's a card. Then,
Uh,
oh, yep.
I have a question. So I know we had this Pokemon at one point. I don't know if it was a Pokemon. I don't remember how good the attack was, but it had an ability that made it essentially unusable. I
Yeah,
think it had a restriction. Is that still around? Because that would get around that ability. This
I was
attacker.
looking at those. I don't think. Trying to think, what was that Pokemon? I know there's some that are
Uh,
bad. There's like Palafin EX, but that's getting into play.
right.
Um, Pokemon that was unusable, I think was there might have been like Slacking V. That was a while ago, obviously. There was a or not a Pel. There was a Great Tusk EX that like milled 5 every turn, which kind of sucks, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that might be what I'm thinking of. And
Yeah,
that's
which
rotated, I assume?
yeah, that's rotated. But like the ability is like the attack's not that good. The ability is also not like horrendously. I mean, it's kind of bad, but you could use it to your advantage. Then there's also another funny one here is Lapras EX. Lapras EX has the first attack, which is like okay-ish, I guess. But then you use the second attack, and it does require psychic energy. It's not psychic, so you could like you could Crispin Wonders Patch, and then you do this attack that looks at the top 20, accelerates any amount of basic energy you find there. That's a card.
Okay.
And then the last one I have here, this one actually I have like some other like minor control stuff, but then I have the single prize Great Tusk, the mill one, which is actually funny here, because you mill 4 if you play an ancient supporter. So you could play like Explorer's Guidance, which I've been playing a bunch recently, which I think is actually, I don't think it was. There's some deck I thought it was bad in, but I think right now it's a pretty decent supporter in standard, and you could pair that with you could like do mill. You could like mill 4, which is like kind of funny. It's pretty bad, but it is funny.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, so the Badoo thing to get started for a game where you're just gonna sit there and Badoo. So now our Badoo mirrors, rather than just 3 turns to knock out, are now going to take 16 turns to knock each other out. So that's something we can all look forward to. Thank you, MUX, for that. And then control seems like it's the most promising thing here. I would say, um, because with the HP being what it is, it's going to be tough to win on prizes, right? The prize race is tough, giving up 2 free prizes every turn as such. So we got to kind of keep our opponent from doing what they need to do. So I think it lends itself to control.
Yeah, I think you have some like interesting-ish options. And this could just be attack. You mentioned in Dragapult. I think attack with the
Yeah.
deck playing Badoo, wanting to hit Dragapult for weakness, without necessarily playing Psychic Energy, is the idea there. You mentioned
Yep.
it to copy Dragapult. It does some cool things. I think the card is, certainly very cool. Um, it's not super strong. I mean, as I said, we've seen cards like this in the past. You mentioned Mewtwo and Mew. You mentioned Regidraco, which are both good, but they kind of cheat
Hmm.
evolution. There were some cards very similar to this in the past that were very good, but they didn't have this like massive HP downside. I don't think it was a bit rough, but it wasn't like super horrendous. And I think it is pretty horrendous here with this Mew EX, and also the upside is just not, not super good all that often. It's definitely a card I do want to mess around with though, and
Yeah.
play with in standard. I'm probably gonna make a list for it at some point soon. We'll see, but I don't know. I don't think you have too much more to add for any of these cards.
No, look, it lends itself to fun stuff. Now we're not going to get the card for a long time, so just it comes out September, so we got a long wait before we got, well, at least what, 2 more sets in
Yeah,
between
we
before
have
we
we
get
have one
this.
set, yeah, a main set.
Just one. Okay. So, but yeah, no, it's going to lend itself to some fun and creative deck building, right? Which is good. So it's good for the game. I don't know how good the card is, but I'm certainly glad that it's being printed.
Yeah, it's a cool card. I hope it's not the best card from the set because, as we were saying, like the other cards are kind of bad. Um, they're okay, playable-ish, kind of, sort of, with some interesting elements with like Greninja EX or some of the evolutions, I guess. But overall,
Yeah.
the set's a little disappointing from a player's perspective. I would say Celebrations was better. Celebrations. So, Uncommon Fossil, can you name some of the cards from Celebrations that are good off the top of your head?
Oh, there was that had the weird rarity thing too, right? What was it called?
No, no, that's
Oh, I'm getting confused.
yeah. Oh, I mean, it had like cards from like old cards, but that's not what you're talking about,
No,
right?
but I thought it had didn't have that have or that had the one that knocked your opponent out, right? For like
No, that's
5 different.
I believe
I'm wrong.
uh Shining Shining Fates.
Oh,
That
Shining
is
Fates. Okay, okay. So in the Lugia and the Archeops deck.
yeah, but so you
Um,
don't remember any of the cards,
no, I
right?
can't. There was a Cosmog, right? If I
There
recall.
was a Cosmog, yes. The
So there we
Cosmog
go.
wasn't good. The Cosmog was also the basic. It's literally the only evolving basic in the set as well, which is kind of funny that that's what you named. Or it's
Yeah.
no, it's technically not actually, but it's only single prize evolving basic. Where there's
Okay.
that like double damage
Oh,
Lunala.
yeah. Oh, there was that had the Psychic Zacian V in it, right?
Yeah, had Psychic
Or am I
Zacian V.
wrong?
That was a pretty good
Okay.
card. Not like a
Yep.
crazy good card, but like a decent card. Probably better than maybe not better than the Mew EX, better than all the other cards certainly though, right?
Yeah. I think
Um,
yeah, probably yes.
and then it also had it had the Mew. That the big thing was the Mew. Looks the top six. It's an
Oh
item there.
yeah.
It also
Yep.
had Yveltal, not the one you're thinking of, but the one that discards 3 special energies from your opponent's Pokemon. That's a decent control
Mhm.
card, right?
Yep. Yeah. 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 I played that some. Yep.
There's also the Kyogre that mills the top five and does 50 each of your opponent's or to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This was played in Lost Zone. Um,
Okay.
that
Yep.
was kind of weird. And then also Flying Pikachu VMAX in it as well.
Oh, that's right. Oh, and you skipped the really good one, Surfing Pikachu VMAX. Come on.
Yes, yeah. Oh, I
That's right. He was my favorite.
yeah, but no, the set's actually like that set was legitimately like good.
Yeah.
I was like shocked when I look back. I was like, wow, there's a bunch of like there's 5 legitimately good cards in this set. Like you don't see
Yeah.
that in you see in some sets, but like especially for a small mini set like this, that's pretty decent. We have not seen that, right? We have not seen that from this set so far. So I hope we see some cool stuff that's like good. You know, I
Yeah.
like the old stuff. I mean, we see like in celebrations we had the old Mew EX, which is kind of the same thing. Not as like it was a little better, but definitely definitely interesting there. But overall, I feel like the set's underwhelming, unfortunately. But there is some fun stuff as well.
Yeah, right now they've released the collector stuff, right? Especially like these 30 Pikachus. We've seen a few of. I don't think any of them are going to be playable. So hopefully we get a few more players cards. So we'll see. Yeah, from the yeah. So we'll see what happens. But it's always good getting some new stuff too.
Yeah, and the set is a lot bigger than Celebrations. It's 128 cards in like the regular set and like 25 from Celebrations. So I am
Okay.
definitely looking forward to it. I just realized that like the Pikachu's are 30 of the cards. So um, that is, presumably those are all going to be bad. It'd be kind of funny if there's like a legitimately good one um, in there, but I highly doubt it. I don't think there's ever been a good like basic single prize Pikachu, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong in that. Someone tell us in the comment section on YouTube.
Yeah.
But anyways, we do hope y'all enjoyed this episode here. As I just mentioned, leave any comments you have down below in our comment section on our YouTube channels, Uncommon Fossil or 10 Types there. You can do it on either one. We post it on both of our channels. And then we also have this available on podcasting platforms if you want to listen to us there. And if you have comments, do leave those on YouTube. Unfortunately, we can't really see them on podcasting platforms. Slash, we don't look. But I don't know if we can see them. But then, yeah, you can listen to us there, though, if you want to. But we hope you all enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube as well, or on whatever platform you're on. We hope you all enjoyed. And as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.